popping up without a boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I'll be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let them know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show them who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross. I'm moving too far. Get to glass. Looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Said I might be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get a glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like Kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When that's enough, then I just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When that's enough, then I just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, yeah, shoot, yeah, shooting, yeah, shooting, shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away? Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away?
Good evening, everyone. It's Tuesday night. Tottenham away. We're back. Another show straight after yesterday's mammoth show. We're back again. This time, it's a little bit different. I'm joined with the Arsenal man himself, Stefan. Probably going to be doing this show every couple of weeks, depending what the news is during the season. But Stefan and I, we're going to be talking not just Arsenal and Tottenham, but just the general Premier League news. And obviously, we're going to be biased and want to talk about our own teams a bit more, but you get the gist of it. Anyway, Stefan, you good, man? How's things in Bulgaria now, or are you somewhere else?
Yeah. I was in Greece, actually. Just came back. Really nice holiday. Just enjoying, and just can't wait for the actual season to start. I like the Euros. I like Copa America, but it's just not the same. Like I want to get it over with. So yeah, everything's heating up now with transfers, with the lack of transfers. So yeah, let's talk about it. Let's see.
Let's see. There's nothing to see.
Yeah, that's true.
There's nothing to see. Big up to Tony in the house, Adam, R. Green, Sue in the house. How you doing? Billy, Scott, John, Jason, Jason with a Y. Scott M.
Scott,
Jog.
of course.
Rich, you must be excited. The Everton Stadium's almost built. Mark, Lisa, Chris, Pipes 71, Language Angels, the Bertie Hotspur, big up to you guys. Sabello, Jim Bird Coys, Jimmy the Spurs. Good evening, everyone. There's 100 people already watching. Zafaguna in the house. Big up to you as well, my man. Smash a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You know how it works. So, Stefan, there's a few topics you wanted to speak about. We've got Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, no signings yet. Well, Arsenal, California, I guess. Chelsea, new coach, good sign, or is it a shit show? Man United, Ten Hag stays. Big changes there. Archie Gray, is this the way to progress at Spurs? I mean, where would you like to start with it? Because for me, normally the Premier League spends a lot of money. It's one of the biggest spenders at the moment. The only club really looking active is Aston Villa and Man United. They're the only two clubs that look quite active at the moment.
Aston Villa, I would say, have gotten weaker still. Like I'm concerned about Aston Villa. If I was a Villa fan, I'm concerned.
Yeah, but when I say active, I mean players out and players in. There's a lot
of course. Movement. I'm intrigued what they're gonna do now, because let's be honest, with Villa, they regressed because Onana. I'm sorry, Douglas Luiz is a far better player. He is. I can't believe people are. I think Onana is, by the way, extremely overrated. I think 50 million pounds. Some of the transfers and the value of the transfers has been an absolute joke. You know, we're gonna talk about Archie Gray, 40 million for an 18. I read. I don't know if this is true. People can confirm it. He is the most expensive teenager apart from Vinicius, Rodrigo, Bellingham, and I think Endrick. So literally, after all these Real Madrid Brazilian superstar youngsters, it's Archie Gray. So some of even Onana for 50 million, he lost his place at Everton. He was benched at certain periods.
Let's do you know what, Stefan? I'll tell you what, because I can see there's a lot of clubs we're going to want to cover. Let's start with our own clubs first. Let's talk Tottenham and Arsenal, okay? So before the season started, if you were to ask me what we needed for the first team, I would have said a striker, an attacking left or right side forward that can dribble, create and score. I would have said we need another option to Maddison. We need a number 6 that can play the Ange way, and we need a player that can play either left or right wing back as cover for Porro or Udogie, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4. I would have said we need 5 for the starting 11, and then the bench probably another 3 or 4. I don't expect us to sign 8 players in one window. So if we got 3 of those for the starting team and they were really good players, really good, I could accept it because it makes sense to me. So before we talk Spurs, before the transfer window began for you, what positions were you looking for, hoping that Arsenal would sign?
I was looking at, like everybody, at first I thought, okay, I thought we need some firepower. Like I thought we needed either a superstar winger or, of course, a number 9. But then I kind of just thought about it and looked at, okay, which position can we actually based on, of course, if I was to desire. We talked about this like a month ago. I said I would love Watkins at Arsenal. That would be my number 1 choice, but that's not realistic. So after looking at the striker options and looking at the potential 11 that we had, I thought that the easiest upgradable position where we could improve was left back. And I think Arsenal have seen it in terms of the most unstable position, where you had Zinchenko starting certain games, you had Tomiyasu, you had Kivior. None of them kind of cemented their place in that left back zone. Even Timber played left back at the start of the season in the Community Shield.
How many positions would you have wanted Arsenal to sign this?
For me, still there are 2 positions where we can clearly get better, like the squad starting a left back and number 8. And I mean, Arsenal are targeting exactly those positions with California, which, in my opinion, now it's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
And the second one, he looks like basically a more athletic Granit Xhaka in Mikel Merino. He's very similar, like left-footed, big, physical, really good in the air.
Is that the guy from La Liga?
Yeah, from now.
I know who you're talking about.
He played for Spain. He scored the winning goal against Germany. I know who came on and scored. So we're looking at him. And
I haven't seen enough of him to know if he's
me too.
How good he is. I don't know.
Me too, still. But from the stats, what I read, he's won the most duels in Europe. So he's very much the type of player that Arteta loves, which is off the ball. He's a monster. So he wins the ball back. He's athletic. He's extreme. He's big. He's physical. Which Arteta, if you see how he's recruiting the last few years, he wants physically dominant players, and that's what he is. And and then of course, from a luxury standpoint, the final position is a marquee attacker, either a winger or a number 9, based on what is available and who it is. Personally, after seeing what's available still, I would prioritize a winger for Arsenal, a superstar. I would love Pedro Neto, Williams from Spain, from Athletic Bilbao, something like that, so we can provide competition for Saka. But for me, it's not that much of a need. It isn't. I know Arsenal fans are going to lose their shit and say, how can you say that? How can I say we need to sign a striker when we scored the most goals in Premier League history? We scored more goals than the Invincibles last season. So it's not for me as much of a need. But yeah.
Well, for me, I'm seriously worried, massively worried, because I think Arsenal and City will be better next season. I think Aston Villa, I know you said, what have they done? But Ross Barkley, Ian Maddison, Lewis Dobbin, Jadon Filion, Samuel Jr., Cameron Archer, Enzo Barrechea, Anana. Whether they're good or not, they're after João Felix as well. Whether they're good or not, Stefan, we're going to find out. But at least they seem to be doing something to try and push on. Unai Emery's a good manager. So I'm looking at them and I'm thinking they seem more proactive. Liverpool, I don't know what they're doing. Chelsea as well. Nothing's happened there.
Liverpool. If you're a Liverpool fan, it's worse than Spurs now. There's nothing about Liverpool. Like
we'll get into Liverpool. We'll get into Liverpool. Man United, I think they've got a plan now. They've got a part new ownership. Let's see what happens again. I'm not getting carried away, but Newcastle only have one game a week now. They're not in Europe. So I'm looking around Spurs and I'm worried. I'm worried that we're not progressing, because don't forget, Stefan, my club, we've got to catch up. We finished 25 points behind you and you were second, right? That is almost 9 games. Plus, we crashed out of all the cups and we played one game a week. So next year we want to close the gap, try and win a trophy, play in Europe, and then play on the weekend. And what we've done is we've signed Timo Werner, who for me is diabolical. It is absolutely shocking that we think this is any progression at all. And as for Archie Gray, I don't think he's crap. I don't think he's amazing. Stefan, I don't know. And what worries me the most is a lot of fans, they buy into this. You know, look, this is the kind of fan we have at the club at the moment. Archie Gray is a top player, was the best player in pre-season out of position. For me, this is crazy. Yeah. This is crazy. Like, we're hyping up these players. Archie Gray was good in one game. And
I thought he was
okay against QPR. So how is he the best? For me, Spence was our best player pre-season. Bergvall looked actually quite good. Mikey Moore looked good. And
Mikey
of the
Moore.
main...
what's the young kid playing number 9? Lancashire?
Lancashire.
I watched him against QPR. He did more in the first 10 minutes than whoever played number 9 for Son in the first half did.
Son does not look good pre-season.
No.
And I look at us at the moment, and I've said it a few times. I'm genuinely worried about Spurs next season. I don't think we're playing amazing football pre-season. I don't understand this. We're playing amazing. Against Hearts, we were good in the second half, really good. But Hearts lost to Leyton Orient 4 days before in the pre-season. So Hearts isn't really competition. QPR isn't really competition for us. But at least they're closer to the levels, right? And QPR at times played some wonderful football.
No,
If they were more clinical, Stefan, they would have scored a couple. Our goalkeepers, Gunter and Austin, saved us big time.
Austin. I watched. So I didn't watch the Hearts game. I watched the highlights. Yeah, so we could discuss. So I can have to discuss with you. I watched pretty much the full game against QPR. People will say I'm biased. The first half they were better than you on the ball, football wise, for a larger part of the half. And it's like the thing I've noticed with Spurs is they have the same patterns though. It's very sporadic is the word. They start well for 10, 15 minutes, and then everything goes to shit. And then suddenly the other team takes the initiative, and it's as if all of the momentum is lost. And literally, if you watch the QPR game, you started well the first 10, 15 minutes. Then QPR were the better team for the next. QPR, they hit the post, I remember. They had a goal disallowed. They were getting into your box. That winger, was it Kofi or what's his name? He was the best player on the pitch in the left winger, I think, or left wing back. I don't know the
what for QPR.
Yeah, he was the best player.
Is that the guy with the fuzzy hair?
Yeah, him.
Yeah. We said that when we did our show. I think he's Chilean. I think he's South American.
I don't know. He shot from long range. So. That was a great save. Great save from Austin. And I'm trying to understand. And watching the game itself, it was the same stuff. Like I remember I watched, I think it was Football Heritage TV, and Lee was saying it's the same shit again. On the wings, we're completely open. They're breaking on us. And if this is a better team, which is a Premier League teams, they will punish us. And it's the same predictable stuff. And he was doing the same things whilst playing Archie Gray and Oliver Skip at center back. I think the only position Oliver Skip hasn't played, STEL, is manager and goalkeeper. I honestly, I've seen him left back, right back, center mid, everywhere. Yeah. So yeah,
I know. I mean, for me, the thing is, I was saying yesterday on our show, we crashed out the Carabao Cup because Ange said he needed to make the changes. He made 9 changes against Fulham, and it backfired. And he said, I needed to do that so I can see what these players are like. I need to see them. So what he's basically saying is, I risked the cup so that I can understand what I've got. All right. People have allowed it. I never allowed it. I felt that was unacceptable. But okay, you've now got pre-season to see what they're like. And you've got Ashley Phillips, who you signed last season, a centre-back, who doesn't
look
start.
Good, by the way. Who looked good. I like the look of Ashley Phillips.
He looks good, but he doesn't start because he plays Oliver Skip there. So my question is, why aren't you using now to understand your players so you don't have to risk it in the cup? This is why I'm against Skip even trying centre-back. There's no need. Skip is not going to play centre-back for Spurs next season. I guarantee it. So why are we doing it now? For what?
I have a different theory as to why he plays Skip. I think it's political. He needs to keep Skip on board because I've read that Skip is interested to go get game time either for one of the newly promoted sides from into the Premier League or in the
Stefan, we have to keep him. We have to keep him.
I know, but in order to keep him on board, he's forcefully playing him. So he's like, oh, but I'm playing you at least. So that's my theory as to why he's playing Skip I think he's just playing him for the sake of playing him, not because he believes in him or he's just playing him to keep him happy or to keep him content. And Ashley Phillips, I mean, the thing with Ange that annoys me, just like Ten Hag, ever since he won the FA Cup, he's been absolutely shameless, this guy, how he's been talking in the press. It's the same with Ange. He goes on ITV, I think it was, saying that, oh, I'm glad that, managers have the balls to play young players and stuff like that.
We don't do it.
and then you play Skip. Why don't you start with Phillips? Show the kid that you at least show him, yes, I believe in you. You might not be ready. You can go on loan, but and if you watch Phillips, I can see why you signed him. He has This poise on the ball, far more poise than I'm not gonna say it, but everybody raved about Dragusin in the Euros. I'm sorry, he really didn't impress me, especially when he had to play a high line. He was all over the place.
But when he's not in the high line, he actually looked very good, I thought. I thought he looked very good.
No, but that's true. But Harry Maguire is the same style. Harry Maguire, if you put him in a lower kind of team where they have to defend deep, backs against the wall, old school center back play, Harry Maguire is great. He'll win the air ball. So will Dragusin. The problem with Dragusin is that the moment you force him to, which is your style of play isn't just high line. Your style of play is suicide high line. So you put him in a position where he has to run. And I watched him get absolutely torched by
Lukaku and De Bruyne.
Lukaku. He got absolutely torched by Lukaku. And don't get me wrong, Lukaku is a good striker. He's very physical. But to watch him, but Lukaku, I rarely see Lukaku.
Yeah, but Dragusin's supposed to be physical as well.
No, but in terms of running wise, like Lukaku is fast, but he's not like someone that's gonna blaze past you. And he destroyed. There were moments where Dragusin was all over the place. So let's see. I mean, I personally think when you said what you needed, I agree with you. Are your attackers good enough? No, actually, I don't remember in 20 years since I started watching the Premier League, over 20 years, Spurs having such a weak attack. Like I remember back in the day, Spurs had Berbatov, Defoe, Pavlyuchenko, and Crouch. 4 very good strikers. I remember that time. Oh, and I forgot Darren Bent also at one point, who was one of the top goal scorers.
He wasn't good at Spurs, though.
No, he wasn't good, but he was one of the top goal scorers, I think, from Charlton. I forgot where you bought him from. So you've always had a history of good strikers, and then came Harry Kane. You've always had that. Now it's
Heung-min Son.
Now it's just Heung-min Son, and that's it. And
he's on his way down. He's on his way down.
I'm going to say this though. I know you hate him. I know I agree with you. Timo Werner is horrendous, but Brennan Johnson in that game was worse. Some of the crossing.
No. Timo's worse.
No. Still, some of the crossing.
Timo was 1-on-1 with the goalie, and he missed, and he screwed it up.
That was yeah. The first touch was terrible. Don't get me. The first touch was the reason why he missed, and that's Timo Werner. But at least,
Stefan, do you know what the problem is at Spurs, right? If there's space in behind, Brennan Johnson and Timo are quick, so they can cause problems because they can get into the space and pull away, right? But then you need the ability to put in a cross to a teammate, and sometimes you need the ability to take on a man. And I was showing this chart to everyone the other day, right? So this chart basically is every team in the Premier League last season, the number of dribbles they tried, and the number of dribbles they tried that were successful. Okay, so if you look at Arsenal, you don't really try to dribble much. You're the third lowest at trying to dribble.
Yeah.
Right. Spurs.
Were you
sorry, no, attempted. No, you're not the. Sorry, big pardon. Numbers attempted. You are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 from bottom. Okay. Spurs are the third highest at attempted dribbles. Third highest. So we dribble a lot. But look at how many are successful. We're one of the lowest. So there's a problem at Spurs where we try to dribble a lot and we fail a lot doing it, which says sign dribblers then, or stop dribbling. It's got to be one of the two, either sign dribblers or stop dribbling. But the problem is, I think you need dribblers. I think you need players that can beat a man in football. You saw the first goal for Spurs against QPR. Basuma went round the goalie to score. That's a dribble. Timo can't do that. Brennan Johnson can't do that. Son used to be able to do it. Richarlison can't do that. Madison can do it. So for me,
Solomon also looked terrible to me. I thought
Udogie can dribble. Udogie can dribble, but he plays left back.
He's a left back, yeah. I mean,
at least he can dribble and get it up the field. For me, in that final third, we don't have technicians. We don't have players that can unlock doors. Madison can do it, but he goes missing second half of every season.
Yeah, he's really up. I mean, Wayne said it perfectly last year. He said exactly. I remember watching again one of the Leicester fan channels, and they came on to We Are Tottenham TV, and they literally said, He's going to start really well. He'll get an injury like he always does and then go to shit. That's literally what they said. And exactly that happened. But the worrying aspect for Maddison is that he had really good numbers at a team that got relegated. I think he had 12 goals and 7 assists or something like that in his last season at Leicester. He went to Spurs and only had, I think, 4 goals and I think 5 assists. So his numbers actually went down. And people say, oh, he got injured. He got injured at Leicester too. He missed a fair chunk of time also there. So he regressed in a better team, which is worrying. So let's see this season how he is. I just think STEL number 6 is still. We're talking about Spurs now. That game, STEL. I know he scored a nice goal. He was horrendous. And people are going to say it's Arsenal bias. People are going to say he is a horrendous player. Conte saw it, and I'll tell you why. It's not that he doesn't have talent. He does. He's lazy and he's lackadaisical. He doesn't track his runners. He has zero defensive positional sense. That's why that's why at times they were overloading you in the midfield. He makes stupid mistakes a lot. Højbjerg, I know he wanted to leave, but I would have kept Højbjerg 100% over Bissouma. And if you want to rely on this guy, you have to thank your lucky stars that Pape Sarr is there, because Pape Sarr, I really rate Pape Sarr, by the way. He is probably apart from Son, my favorite Spurs player. I think he's really underrated.
Yeah, but he can't control a game of football.
I know he can't still, but at least Pape Sarr off the ball,
Yeah, his work rate is excellent.
Yeah, he's excellent. He wins the ball back, and he's always there. And you can play him center forward, like a false line, like you did against Man City. He will do a job. Look, Scott, I know Højbjerg isn't good enough. I agree. He's not good enough on the ball. But Højbjerg, as a number 6, does his job, Scott. He stays in position. You are not as overrun in midfield as you are with Bissouma. Bissouma is terrible. And you will see this next season, because this system exposes him even more, because it exposes his defensive. Conte saw it.
Stefan, do you know what the issue is? Bissouma is not a 6.
But he's not an 8. People say this to me, but he's not. And I'll tell you why he's not an 8. He doesn't score enough goals.
I don't think he's an 8.
So what is he then still? So what is he then?
I think Bissouma is your box-to-box player, but without the defensive qualities of a box-to-box player.
But still, how can you be a box-to-box? One box is your defensive box. How can you be a box-to-box?
That's why I said he's a box-to-box player without the defensive attributes of that role. So I think he's a player you want in ideally. No,
he could never play for a top team.
In a 3-5-2, for me, he works. But don't play him in the 6 of that role, because then he's got the extra midfielder in front and he's got the one behind, and it works.
No, but he had, if you remember the Brighton team where he made his name, he had the guy that he was amazing off the ball, winning the ball back. The guy that had a heart ailment and had to retire. Enoch Nwepu, I think his name was. He had him next to him, and he had McAllister next to him. So the other weakness that nobody talks about Bissouma, and why Højbjerg is again better, is Højbjerg's passing, especially through the lines, is far better than Bissouma. Far, and stats prove it. Bissouma is not a good passer of the ball.
See, I disagree. Bissouma, his pass retention rate is not only the highest at the club, he's in the top 3 or 4 in the league. He rarely loses possession when passing, Stefan. Rarely.
But that's not a sign. Yeah.
Wait, his problem is he over dribbles. So when he takes on one man, now you're thinking, right, release, play someone in, a killer pass, or take a shot. Instead, he holds on to it for too long, and then he gets dispossessed. He over dribbles. You know who used to do that? Lucas Moura. Lucas Moura used to do the exact same thing.
Oh my God!
He used to over dribble.
Aren't you, like, compared to Brennan Johnson? Aren't you dying for Lucas Moura now still? Lucas Moura is 10 times the player Brennan Johnson is. Even though
Brennan Johnson, to Brennan Johnson, but it's not. It's Lucas Moura or Brennan Johnson isn't going to take us to the next level.
But Bissouma. But going back to Bissouma, I'm telling you, he's going to get. And the other thing that you guys always laugh. For me, it's very important. I want to see how a player deals with bad situations. Let's say he has a bad game, he has a bad run of form. The reason, for example, I'll give an Arsenal example to piss people off in the chat. Odegaard started the season really badly. He did. He was terrible in the first 2 months. But Odegaard transitioned from that, and by the last 2 to 3 months of the season was, in my opinion, the best player in the Premier League in the last 10, 12 games, based on his impact in games and his stats and everything. That shows me that this person has he's tough. He has a good mentality. Bissouma, the moment shit hits the fan with this guy, he hides. The moment he got that red card at Luton, his form dropped. Then he got another red card against Forest, and his form dropped further. And he stopped trying to take people on. That shows me, Stel, that he's soft. And I can argue the same thing about Maddison. That the moment, Maddison does it in a different way. When his form hits the fan, he starts being petulant. Where last year, I do not know how he did not get a red card, especially in the last 10, 12 games. I remember he punched a guy in one game, and they didn't look at it. He was petulant. He kept getting yellow cards for arguing with the refs or kicking out or stuff like that. And that shows me that he doesn't have the right mentality. So for me, it's the profile.
But he also got yellows and reds when he didn't deserve it as well.
No, I forget that. But I'm telling you what it shows me from a mentality-wise. Højbjerg, whatever you say about him, whatever you...
Yeah, but he can't play our football, though. Højbjerg can't play our football. Højbjerg was brilliant. Højbjerg was brilliant under Mourinho. Low block, compact, put destroys in front of the defense. Højbjerg was in his element.
And Conte too. He was very good
under Conte. He wasn't too bad. But
but for me, what's important is you can rely on Højbjerg. You can.
No, you can't. You can't. You can't. He loses.
No, in terms of, he's not gonna go. He's not gonna pull a strop and be all down and stuff and talk about.
So Stefan, this is the problem we've got, right? If you want someone that can defend, you play Højbjerg. If you want someone that can play it out from the back, you're better off with Bissouma. If you want someone that's going to work their socks off, never stop running, just give you 100% non-stop for a whole game, you want Pape Sarr. What we need is a player that has all three attributes. We don't have that. So we're screwed in that position, right? And to go back to what you're saying about Bissouma's attitude, there's a question here from Walbo Jog. How much of the negative attributes of Bissouma can be coached away? I feel that we talk about players as these unchangeable objects. I'll answer this. If you go and look at Bissouma, just forget him as a footballer, just look at him from a psychological aspect. He's got the most blinging Gucci, Versace sunglasses. He's got the latest fashionista outfits. He's on the catwalks. He's on... Aubameyang. And my problem is this. I think he's come to Spurs and in his head, I've made it. I've arrived. And he's getting the paycheck. He's living the lifestyle. And you know what? He's comfortable. And because he's comfortable, he's not pushing himself. He's not elevating. So what's happened is we've got this player that's, whether I play good, whether I play bad, I'm going to go and live my life and I'm getting paid. And that's what I think has happened with Bissouma at Spurs right now. I don't think he wants it, man. He don't want it because he's just at a place in life where he's just, kick back and chill. So, and you look at Pape Sarr, he's nothing like that.
No,
you look at Van der Ven, he's nothing like that.
Yeah, no. Americans have a great term. He has no dog in him still. No dog whatsoever. There are examples of players in American sports, people will know in the chat. Kobe Bryant. When the lights are the brightest, when everything is tough, Kobe Bryant wants to shoot the ball. He wants the ball because he wants to fight. He'll fight, guys that are 10 times bigger. He'll run into... Basuma, the moment things start getting tough, he hides. Madison is the same, except he does it in a petulant way. So for me, it's the culture, and yeah, I don't. It's wrong to judge so superficially, but yeah, the blinginess and the videos that he posts, him and Emerson Royale dancing and stuff, whilst they're on a four game losing streak. Yeah, I wouldn't post that shit. You know, like, what do you do? And Aubameyang, I love Aubameyang. I love Aubameyang. He won us an FA Cup, but deep down, Arsenal fans will tell you, and they knew deep down, when he became captain, you knew that he is not the way forward in terms of if you want our club to reach the heights. He is not because the captain is the kind of the epitome of the culture at the club that wants to be represented. The coach chooses someone that is closest to his own personality and to the kind of the vision of what he wants on the pitch. That's why Arteta has chosen Odegaard. Because if you read about Odegaard is a leader not only through his hard work, where he's always first in the gym, in the morning, last after at night, but he's also a coach on the pitch. If you read, like, every journalist that watches Arsenal play, Odegaard is like a second coach, but on the pitch, he tells the players how to move, where to put.
He's your captain, isn't he, Odegaard?
Huh? Sorry?
Is he your captain, Odegaard?
Yeah. And that's why he's not the most vocal. He's not like who's really tough. Gabriel, for example, the center right. Gabriel,
he's not an old-fashioned captain. He's not.
He's not like a Patrick Vieira that will get into like a crunchy tackle to get
modern.
To get.
He's a modern captain.
Yeah, he's a modern captain. But this is what I mean. And the problem you guys have is also the captain that you have within your team is soft too. He's been at your club for 10 years. He's such a nice guy. I love Son. As a person, Son is just the nicest. You cannot dislike Son. You just can't. He's just such a nice guy, such a respectful guy. But you need some guy that's gonna put Timo Werner up in the fucking lockers for missing a 5-centimeter chance, or telling him that he's shit. Somebody to kind of set some fuel, set some standards within the actual dressing room. And the problem is you don't have that. Your leadership group, and now with the removal of Højbjerg, I think becomes even weaker. The only two players that I think have dog in them, have like that type of, that you said, that passion within them to fight, are Pape Sarr, Son at times. I would say Son does show.
Romero's got it in him. Romero's got it in him.
Romero's an idiot still. Romero's the same.
No. Romero. I think Romero's frustrated at Spurs, man.
Yeah, but that's a sign of leadership still.
But hold on. Romero goes to Copa America. He's player of the tournament. He's player of Argentina. He's getting accolades left, right, and center. He's smashing it. He comes to Spurs, and the problem is at Spurs. And I'm telling you, Romero, we're going to lose him next season. We're going to lose him because a big club will come in and take him, and he'll go. It's what I've been saying for a while about Spurs. If we don't start signing proven talent, established proven talent, this is what's going to happen. The best players are going to leave, because that's why Modric left, Bale left, Kane, Kyle Walker, Eriksen. They all leave because we don't sign the caliber of players to raise the levels and play at their level. Number two.
Sorry to Pipe 71. How does Pape Sarr have little ability? See, this is why you guys as Spurs fans deserve now. How does but Bissouma, because he does one little fucking shimmy every game, but doesn't track his runners, is out of position every time, is a great player.
Bissouma skill-wise is better than Pape Sarr, skill-wise. He is.
Is he? Is he better skill-wise?
Yeah. Skill-wise, yeah.
Pape Sarr has a really nice long-range shot. He has a better weak foot than Bissouma. I would argue Pape Sarr is a better passer
on the ball, dribbling and not losing possession. Bissouma is better.
Yeah, if you're passing straight back to Romero,
when he doesn't over dribble, that is.
Okay, mate.
Okay, look. If we don't sign proven talent, the best players will leave. Right? We're going to lose the Van der Vens. We're going to lose the Romeros. We're going to lose these players. Number two, the youngsters that we want to bring through, they've got to learn from players better than them. So if they're going to learn off Timo Werner, Richarlison, Brennan Johnson, Chicken Royale, we're finished. They're not going to develop. They're not going to develop. And the third thing is, if we want to raise the levels at Spurs and win something, we need those caliber of players, because established, proven talent isn't just footballing ability. It's mentality, like you were saying, Stefan. That comes with proven talent. If you've proven yourself, you've got the mentality. Mentally, you're there.
No,
and I just feel until we sign those players, Stefan, nothing will change at Tottenham. Nothing. So when fans get all hyped up about Archie Gray and Timo Werner and Project Youth, I'm sitting there thinking, I've waited 25 years to do something we could have done 10 years ago. Are you taking the mick? And I'm paying more now than ever before. We could have done this 10 years ago. What is this? What is this?
I agree with this, though, but sometimes, because you always say quality creates that sort of environment for there to be winners and to have that leadership. I disagree. Sometimes the best leaders aren't necessarily the best players. At Liverpool, who was the captain when they were at their peak? It wasn't Van Dijk. It wasn't Salah. It was Henderson, who arguably you could say was one of the weakest players in that starting, in my opinion. I've never read. I think,
but it was the Sadio Manes, it was the Salahs that raised the levels for everyone around. You understand? You need to buy that. You need to buy those elite players. Alisson, Van Dijk raised the levels. For
that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But that's
signing
why
Declan Rice raised the level of your club this season.
No, for sure. Yeah, it raises only. Raises.
Stefan, that's what I'm saying. You signed Declan Rice. We signed Timo Werner. You can't compare.
Wait, Stel. I told you to relax. The transfer window is not over. You can't say this,
bro.
If you sign Eze and Tony by fucking August, are you still gonna say this?
We will not sign Eze and Tony. Not happening. Not gonna happen.
Why not? Why can't if you sell Richarlison?
One, we're not going to spend the money on those two, and two, I think I've got a feeling Eze either goes to another club or he might just stay at Crystal Palace one more season, because you know what? Oliver Glasner has signed some interesting players and no one's talking about Crystal Palace, and he's a bloody good manager, and just maybe Crystal Palace hold on to him for one more year. I think that's possible.
And who said that you should have hired Oliver Glasner and that Spurs were not? Why were Spurs not?
No, I was up for it. Stefan, I was up for it.
I remember I was like, the only
I wanted Conte to stay.
Conte. You wanted Conte to stay. You wanted Mourinho. I get it, but it's just now I see Ange, and I'm telling you this. Michael made the best point, Mahal, on your show. That was the most defining point of why Ange will not change. Because Ange is used to the lower leagues. And he told you in Poland, in Bulgaria, in Scotland, which are similar levels, let's be honest, all you need to do is come in and create a basic structure of play. And if you're at a big team or the biggest team, you will win the league. And Ange gives me those vibes. Ange thinks that he's going to come in, he's going to implement his style of play. He's not going to adapt to the Premier League or adapt his recruitment. And he just says, listen, I want a right winger that can run. That's it. He doesn't look at other attributes. Okay, great. So they signed Brennan Johnson. And I really think he's really going to be found out next season, because now they have more tape on him. They figured him out by the end of the season. Like I predicted, all of you Spurs fans in the chat were taking a piss, saying, Stefan, you're a hater, this and that, this. Okay, they found him out. Like I said, the Prem is too good, the coaches there are too good, and the players are too good for you to continually play the same way and not get found out. And now the season is starting, and Stel sends me, news outlets saying that Ange hasn't hired a set-piece coach and won't. Well, good luck then. Because if you don't hire a set-piece coach and Arsenal sign Mikel Merino, we'll have literally 7 or 8 players over 6 foot on corners. So good luck, because last time we actually played you, it's it's not gonna work. So let's see. I say
25% of our goals we conceded came from set pieces last season.
and he thinks we shouldn't. Yeah, and he thinks they shouldn't hire. And instead, what he does is he makes, let's be honest, kind of good old boys club hires, where he hired his assistant coaches.
Well, he's a yes man.
We're from fucking what was it? Australia? Was it Australia?
Yes man. He brought someone back from Celtic.
Yeah, or from Celtic.
No, he got. It was the manager who got fired from Hibs after 8 months.
Yeah, and just to compare, when Arteta first came into the job, because you guys like to compare him to Arteta, who did Arteta hire as his assistant coach? A supremely experienced assistant coach who had been the coach at, I think it was Man United, at Ajax, I think for Holland too at one point. A person that had supreme, I forgot his name, the Dutch guy on the he's still there.
I remember who you're talking about, the guy with the long hair. I remember you talking about.
Yeah. So it just, for me, it's I agree with you. It's
no, but
I mean,
Stefan,
I'm biased.
I don't think Ange is a bad coach. I don't think he's trash. I don't. I've got two issues with Ange at the moment. One is he's underestimating the league and the competitions he's going to be playing in. He's massively underestimating it. And if he thinks he can do with the players he's got what he's saying to us he's going to do, challenge for the league, I think he's lost. I think he doesn't get it. And the other thing that worries me about him is there are games where I've got nothing against the high line and inverted fullback. I understand what he's doing. I get it. My issue is there are teams that know how to counter that. So if you don't have the firepower up front to take the chances and create the chances to go 2-0, 3-0 up and bury the opposition, which we fail to do often, you give a team that's got rapid forwards or explosive wide players, they're going to hurt you. Like we saw against Brighton, like we saw against Fulham, like we saw against Wolverhampton Wanderers, like we saw against Arsenal. So in those moments, he has to adapt. Drop the defense 15, 20 yards. He doesn't do it. So for me, my second issue is adaptability. He doesn't adapt enough.
No,
Every manager adapts. Every top manager, even Klopp at time, slightly had to adjust it.
Klopp, when they
Pep slightly shuffles the pack.
Yeah. No, you know? Remember, I think 3 years ago was the COVID season when they had the terrible injury crisis. They lost.
We did change it a bit at the end of last season.
He changed it. Klopp made it a little bit. He dropped the defensive line a little bit back and played a little bit more counter. He didn't try and dominate the ball as much. So even Klopp adapts. Arteta went to Man City and said, "Fuck it, we're gonna pull a Diego Simeone parked the bus," and he said we're not gonna lose and we're gonna play like it. So every coach adapts. So and the fact that he hasn't tried once to adapt, kept watching Bissouma get overrun time and time again, and then not changed him or Maddison. He finally dropped Maddison. I remember, I think in the last 5 or 6 games. I think it was the Chelsea away game where Maddison was benched. For me is very concerning. I'm gonna be honest. And I watched some of the opposing Spurs shows, and you know what, Stel? They're not happy clappers. I'm worried about Ange, Stel. I've never seen this. I remember when Conte was your coach. Conte could do no wrong. Conte, Ange, Stel. There's a lot more doubt. They're even from the so-called happy clappers. There's a lot more doubt.
Listen,
a lot more.
Anyhow, as a fan base, we turn against Ange. All eyes must point to Daniel Levy because he's hired this guy. This is Levy's man for this new project. This is manager number 18. At some point, these so-called happy clappers, at some point, they've got to point the finger at the man upstairs and say, "What kind of club are you running here? Like, what is this? What is the football? Where are the trophies? Why are we competing?" Stefan, we've spent a lot of money, Spurs. We've spent a lot of money.
We've argued this on WhatsApp. I told you, still, I don't want to hear this shit anymore. You
Look,
spent
since Ange came, we're the highest net spenders.
It's a joke. It's not my fault. You spent 150 million
rubbish.
on
We signed
Archie
a lot of
Gray,
rubbish.
Richarlison, and Brennan Johnson. Arsenal are gonna sign. I know he's not proven, but he looked really good. I watched him for Italy.
Calafiori's a good player. He's a good player.
Easily their best player for Italy.
We were talking about him 4 months ago on Ashmatic's channel.
Yeah,
Ash,
perfect.
Actually, Ash was the first person that told me about this guy.
Yeah, because me and Ash talk a lot on WhatsApp. Ash was gutted. He told me I really wanted him at Spurs. Yeah, he was on
social media. I said I think I'm gonna cry. He's gone to Arsenal. I literally said
honestly though, Stel, I'm shocked because a top Italian prospect to not go to Juventus especially or to Milan, and for Arteta to be able to Arsenal to be able to pull that off, I was a massive shock. When I saw the links to California, I thought this is bullshit. This is just, hot air, and he's going to end up at Juventus on a loan for obligation for 25 million in 5 years. They always do those dodgy Paratici transfers. So I thought no chance. But now seeing that it's pretty much done, I like it, but I just want us to sign some attacking players. I'm fed up.
Let's move it on to Arsenal because honestly, Stefan, I'm actually not only am I getting bored of talking Spurs, right? But last night on the show, I said this is the first season ever supporting Tottenham ever. I really am not excited or looking forward to it. Yeah, really. Not at all.
I'm trying to think. You've had some stinkers.
I watched us last season crash out of both cups with a whimper, early doors. I watched us completely screw up top four, completely screw it up tactically. And I got to see who's actually able to play this system and who's going to struggle. Okay. Having looked at all of that, I'm now looking at us now. I don't see any difference. I don't see a significant difference. The only thing I see slightly different is that Bergvall actually looks like he can be a football player. He looks like he can be a footballer. But again, until he does it for a whole season, I can't say yes or no. But he looks like it to me. So I'm not excited, Stefan. I really am not. If we sign 3 top players, like 3 really top players, then I'll change my mind. But as it stands now, I couldn't give a shit.
Levy has to sign Eze. There's so much smoke.
No, he doesn't. Our fans will accept
so much
it.
smoke and expectation. He has to
Our
sign
fans will accept it. They'll say, "Oh, but it's Project Youth."
I don't know. So I really
Land is cooking. Land is cooking.
I don't know.
A plan. That's what you're gonna hear.
Stel, I really think the tide. I know you're more of a radical, but the tide is slowly changing. Stel,
What do you mean a radical? I've been like this for 10 years. I've been right every year, Stefan.
I know.
Every year.
In terms of you're very, very passionate. To some may say extreme, but
I say it as it is. I say it as it is.
I just think you're passionate about your club, but every opinion is valid. So that's But still, on one of the shows that you call Happy Clappers, they had Brian Daigle. So
yeah,
still, I mean that's big. To have that person on that particular show where, let's be honest, it's been very filtered.
Not really, because unless the content is regularly of that conversation, then it's just virtue signaling, in my view.
Is it though? Because before they wouldn't touch your kind. Let's be honest, they wouldn't get anywhere near you guys. Now they are.
But I don't think Brian was Brian as we know it.
But still, sometimes
it's his first time on the show as well, so he has to.
No, but that was. But that's.
He's got to settle in. He's got to settle in.
Yeah. Okay,
Listen,
but
if they talk about Levy on that channel, the way we talk about him, and if they talk about we need to do something as a fan base, we need to take action, then I'll say the tides turn. But if they see, The thing is, Stefan, everyone's good online at talking a great game. But I don't judge people by what they say. I judge them by what they do. So when Ange says to me, we're not changing, it's who we are, I don't judge him on what he says. I judge him on what you do. He changed at the end of last season. So to me, hold on, what you say and what you do are two different things. Now I can judge. So unless those channels begin to put pressure on the club and start taking action alongside us, nothing's changed, Stefan. It's all for show, man.
I get it still, but the way to create this mass movement that you want to create, you first have to create brand awareness and salience, as they call it, in terms of people need to be sympathetic to your cause. And one of those ways,
it's not my cause. It's not my cause, though.
Okay,
so
forget
my cause.
For the anti-Levy, message or
Stefan,
whatever.
The majority of fans will never turn. They're comfortable. They like it comfortable.
They're comfortable still. Really, you're gonna come close.
If you were a chairman, if you were a chairman
for 20 years still.
It's been 20 years. And fans have accepted it. If ever there was a time to protest, it was that Conte season. Where was it? Barely got 200 people. Barely got 200 people. Stefan, let me tell you this, right? Let me tell you this. If I was a billionaire and I wanted to buy a Premier League club, I would buy Tottenham. I'll buy Tottenham. Do you know why? Easiest fan base to please. If I'm looking at fans as customers, and I've got to keep my customers happy, so they keep paying merchandise, tickets. They don't turn against me. They don't cause me too much headache. And as long as I keep them sweet, and it's easy to do that, I would buy Tottenham Hotspur. As long as I give them entertaining football or the illusion of entertainment, they're happy. As long as I give them between 6th place and top 4, they're happy. As long as I give them Champions League every once in a while, they're happy. Stefan, I don't need to do more than that. So when I spend my money, when I invest my energy, I'm going to do just enough to keep them happy, which isn't hard, whilst I focus on my passion. Hotels, apartments, luxury condominiums, regentrifying Tottenham, projects overseas, my investments. That's his passion, right? We are the easiest fan base to please. We are so easy. As soon as we signed Ange, the whole fan base was like, yay! Nobody heard of this guy. Nobody heard of this guy. And we celebrated it. Easy to please. We're very easy to please. We signed Timo Werner. Stefan, when we signed Timo Werner, all hell should have broken loose. All hell should have broken loose. So many fans like, good bit of business, makes sense, good backup, good squad player. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, if this was my company, we don't need a customer service department because we're never going to get complaints. This is so easy. This is so easy. You understand?
I'm telling you, Stel, I'm seeing, look, we have a different opinion. I think the tolerance level that you say that people are happy and just, happy clappers for the sake of it. They just want to have the experience of the stadium and have, attacking football and that's it.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. That is true about your fan base. However, what I see in those channels from those so-called happy clappers or whatever is they're starting to get more frustrated, not as happy in terms of with the coach, in terms of they're starting to question the ownership. They're starting to, and I think slowly, if shit hits the fan, which I do predict this season it will, if you don't sign the right players and Ange doesn't change his ways, I honestly think Nuno was a big warning sign that if shit really hits the fans will turn against Levy. And yes, he did save himself.
Because Levy will sack Ange. He'll bring in Pochettino.
Yeah, but who's going to hire Stel? No, but Stel,
yes. We've got our Tottenham back. That's what's going to happen.
Stel, who's he going to? He's got no save. He's got no joker card anymore. Before he had Conte and Mourinho, where he said, look, and yes, I agree with you. Those were vanity hires. It was, we were Tottenham 20 years ago, little old Tottenham. Arsenal took the piss out of us. Chelsea took the piss out of us later. Now we can hire those type of coaches. That was a vanity hire. But those coaches literally have come out in interviews and have said, the club let me down. Levy didn't back me. Levy didn't do that. And now if he sacks Ange, Poch is not coming back. No, I'm sure of it. Poch, after what I saw at Chelsea, he's not coming back.
It doesn't matter.
So what is he going to do?
Look, it doesn't matter what those coaches say, because most of our fans will say Mourinho was rubbish. His football was crap. Conte didn't want to be here. Poch should have done better. They'll always find an excuse to counsel what the coach says. We have this issue at the club now where there's this massive delusion, like a pandemic of denial. We are so balls deep into this denial, we don't know where we are anymore. And in January, so many fans said, especially the financial experts, everyone's an accountant at Spurs now. Look at Tottenham. We're making signings when the other clubs can't. You see what a great club we are. Levy's smashing it. FFP Kings, PSR champions. Just you wait in the summer. Chelsea are in trouble. Aston Villa are in trouble. The other clubs are in transition. This summer's going to be our time.
Every year stuff. Every year I hear this. This is the summer. This is the summer.
But Stefan, you're proving my point, because fans say that all the time, and then when it doesn't happen, why don't they take action? They accept it, and this is my point. What are fans saying now? They forgot everything they said in January about how this would be a big window. We're going to backhand. You wait and see. You're all going to be proven wrong. Now, they've completely forgotten what they've said, completely forgotten how they call people like me and Brian and Sava and Tottenham away and Alex and Dan negative, and how we're toxic. They forgot all that. And now they're saying, oh, but Project Youth, these things take time. Hold on a minute. In January, you told me this would be our moment. This is where FFP takes us to the top because of the amazing business model we've got. What's happened to that? That's what you told me in January. I've waited 6 months, and now you're telling me, no. There's a change of plan. It's now 3 years of Project Youth. Bullshit. Stefan, our fan base will change their story, and they will sell you a different fake hope, fake dream. The journalists jump on it as well. This is why there's no tide turning. There's no tide turning.
Everything looks that I think
it's not.
I think the tipping point is closer than you think. I do, because
I don't.
what I saw during Nuno's time and how that ended there, the crowd did tip. It did. And Levy, I'll never forget when they were chanting Levy out when Man United beat you 3-0. And his wife was tapping him. Was it his wife tapping him on the knee and saying, "It's okay, Daniel," or some shit? Okay. That was the moment where I really thought that he was like, whoa, this is, and that's when he immediately acted. And I think the moment the tipping point can happen again, it really can. And I don't think this time he has a little hole to run away in terms of to get away with, like he did with Conte. Like he did. People are saying the last Joker card is Poch. Guys, what he did at Chelsea has proven to me that Poch learned his lesson with Spurs. He's not coming back to Levy. He's just not. So I see that. And I see it also, that little kind of, the little slither of discontent is slowly embedding itself within the happy, we're not going to name it, but the typical happy clapper ones. The only one it's my opinion. It's not part of the opinion of Tottenham Way. The biggest fucking idiots, the Fighting Cock podcast. I've never seen a more delusional. They make Ty from Arsenal Fan TV look negative. I just want some of their opinions.
Stefan,
I know. This is not Stone's opinion. It's my opinion. Yeah,
it's your opinion. Okay, no. Yeah. I've vowed this year not to call out names. Okay, unless they really, really come for me, then okay. And I'm not going to start now. All I'll say is this. When you are tied in to big media channels and you have work or links to them, you are going to peddle the Levy-Enoch narrative. You've sold yourself short. And I see it with Spurs creators, and I see it with Arsenal creators, and I see it with other club creators. The bias. And I know this for a fact because I was on a show a year or two ago with Lee Judges and a guy called Dan.
Dan, yeah.
You know Dan?
Dan Potts. Dan
Dan
Potts.
Potts.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I called out Lee Judges because he said something about Spurs fans. I said, "No, you're wrong. Get me on the show. I want to debate you on this." And fair play to him, he invited me on. I didn't know Michael Bridge from Sky Sports was going to be on there. Michael Bridge was on there from Sky Sports, and he's a Spurs fan as well. Okay. Before the show started, backstage, I said to the guys, "Is there anything I'm not allowed to say?" Because Bridgie was on there, and I don't know how these things work. And he basically said to me, "Don't go in on Levy out. Don't go in on the whole thing." And I said, "Oh, why not?" And he said to me, "I'm contracted, and it's a bad look on me, and I can't really be involved in that. This is my job." And I said, "Cool." So I didn't go on the Levy out thing. Okay. I said what I wanted to say, but I had to rein it in a bit. That's when I knew for fact that these people can't speak how they want to speak. So fair enough, you can't speak because of your work and your contract, but you've chosen that. So if you're then going to speak and not say what you really feel, you can't tell me you're being authentic and you're being genuine and you're saying it as it is. You can't. Whereas me, I'm not signing any contract like that.
No,
I need to say what I want. So when you mentioned a particular person, Stefan, I know what's going on there. I know what's going on.
No. They're in another.
Yes, because he's on.
I listen to them. I listen.
He's on Sky Sports. Yeah, because he's on Sky Sports shows.
Yeah, but so are the other so-called happy clappers. And watch their latest shows. They're not like this. They're not. They're very. They have a number of guests that are just maybe not as strong as you when it comes to Levy out.
Yeah, but the guests can say what they want. They can't as individuals.
Yes, but still, they still invite them. The Fighting Cock, they invited you and Brian once to get your opinion when shit really hit the fan at Spurs. I remember.
So and hold on.
It was because it was beneficial. I get it. I agree with you. But since then, they haven't invited anybody like you. That's what I'm telling you. That they're okay.
So you agree? So you agree then? We agree.
I agree to some extent, but I see in the other Happy Clapper show
they can't completely ignore it because then they will lose audience members because it shows that they're biased. So once in a while they've got to dabble a little bit, so then they can say, "Oh, look, we are balanced. We are balanced." You see, we do listen to everyone. They do it for show. They don't do it because actually we need to talk about this. We genuinely need to have this conversation. If these bigger channels or I don't even know if they're bigger, we're catching them, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
if they are what they say they are, then they would have us on having these conversations with them directly, like one-on-one. Let's properly debate this, but they don't do it.
No, I get
it because they're worried. They're worried that people say we're not going to come on your show if you're on show with them, or we can't give you this contract with TalkSport or with Sky Sports, or we can't invite you to this show. And Stefan, guests won't go on shows if those shows talk about certain subjects.
No, I get it. I get the politics. You're completely right on that. I'm just saying that I see a little bit of optimism, and I'm telling you. And Tommy said it yesterday, and I agree with him completely. I've talked with Mari. The perfect toxic cocktail, I'm telling you right now, for the fans to turn like they did with Nuno, is for Arsenal to win the league next year, and for you guys to sack Ange, and for shit hits the fan. I really think then.
Yeah. If you sack Ange as well, then maybe.
I'm telling you, if Arsenal win the league. Yeah. And you guys go to shit, which I predict you will, because I just don't think the style will work with Europe. I really think still that it will be like Nuno, but on steroids. Let's move on now because we can talk about Spurs for ages.
Yeah. I just want to do a couple of super chats.
No worries.
Very quickly. Sorry for missing them out. A user big up. He says we are away on preseason and still no signings.
So are we. We still haven't signed anybody. So.
Yeah, but Ange, Ali Gold, and Romano, before the transfer window opens, all said Ange wants the signings done early and before preseason. So that's doing the rounds now because that's come back to bite them. Faz, big up. He says, don't forget Arteta's tactic versus City cost him the title. Do you think being defensive cost you the title, Stefan?
No.
Really? Could you have been a bit more ambitious and gone for it?
What cost us the title was losing away to Fulham and losing at home to West Ham. That's what cost us the title. So I disagree with this completely. It was 2 points, and that tactic, Arsenal in that game had the better chances. So I disagree with this. Did I like it? Did I want us to come out and play? Yeah, but I totally understood. That game was one where we could not lose rather than we had to win. So I got, and you know what? As an Arsenal fan, it was refreshing. It was refreshing, Fast, because the amount of times I saw Arsene Wenger go and play the same fucking way, and literally it was predictable how we'd get completely pumped by Man City away, by Chelsea away. It was refreshing to see a coach actually change and do something that was actually tactical. So I disagree with this comment.
KPV, member for 22 months. Big up to you. Neil Thomas, new member. Thank you for joining the community.
Welcome,
Super
Neil.
chat from Neil Thomas as well. Just joined. I love the honesty. Neil, one thing I'll promise you about this channel, you might not always agree or like the subjects we cover, but we say it as it is. And the guests, they're allowed to say as it is as well. we don't sugarcoat nothing.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining, my man. Scott M, channel member for 34 months. Nope, that won't change anything else. Do you know what it is?
He makes you and what's his name, Mass, seem like Deepak Chopra. They're so positive. Like you guys are compared to
Scott M, why I agree with him though is if Arsenal win the league, what will happen is the media content creators will start planting seeds, and then the conversation will be the seeds that they plant is look what happens when you're patient. It took Arsenal 5-6 years with Arteta. If we're patient, just like Klopp at Liverpool, if we're patient, just proves we've got to wait another 4 years and Ange will get us the title. That's what's going to happen, Stefan.
But you don't have a Joker card still. He doesn't have a Joker card. He doesn't have a card.
It doesn't matter. Patience will be the message pumped across the Spurs fan base. And by the way, I do want to come off Spurs because we need to talk about Arsenal and other clubs.
Let's go.
People very quickly in the chat, I've seen a couple of comments saying that some other shows have said that they hope the conversations they have proves that they do talk about Levy. They talk about Levy, but not with those that are Levy out. Yeah. They talk about Levy as fans who accept Levy. You know, it's a bit like, let's have a debate about Labour and Tory or Republicans and Democrats, but we're only going to have Tories or we're only going to have Republicans on the show. It doesn't work like that.
I just final thing before we move on to Arsenal. I just want to, if Brian is watching, I just want to give him praise because if you watch all those, listen,
100%.
No, I just want to say, if you watch those Levianers, they describe you guys, your camp or whatever, as being angry, as being this frustrated bunch that shouts and stuff.
Who said that?
If you listen to some of the way they kind of like, I'm not gonna name the channels. I don't.
Okay, don't worry. Okay.
Yeah, on some of the,
I know they say that.
They create this impression of your camp as being this kind of just all the time angry, all the time negative, that you don't want to support the club, that you want to see them fail for the sake of kind of fail. And I thought Brian went on and did exactly the right thing, because if Brian had gone on, and I love his rants, I watched them from time to time on Tottenham on tour. If he had gone on and went into his rant that Levy is a parasite and all that shit, all of the whole stereotype that they have created around your camp would have stuck. Would have would have
Brian,
actually.
Brian
Yeah.
fully agrees
So,
with you,
yeah,
man.
well done, Brian.
fully agrees with
I'm
you.
a big fan of your show and Johnny. I love watching you guys. But well done for not, it's good to have a different viewpoint. And I was really impressed last season. You one of the few people that actually had a debate with you and had the balls to do it, Barnaby. You guys set it up, you debated, you had different viewpoints. It was
Barnaby,
civil, it was very reasonable. That's what I want to say.
Harry Scarf and
Yeah.
Sonny Talk Spurs.
Yeah. So, no, it's becoming more. And okay, Scott, Jesus Christ, man, continues with this like just negative. Okay, we get it, but you have to have hope that things might change. You can't just So
Listen,
let's
Stefan, I guarantee you, none of these people will join a movement to get rid of this ownership. They're not going to do it. And they have the conversation for their own benefit. It's for their clout.
Stell, look, fine. Let's
They're
move
not
on.
Going to do it.
It's gonna become 20 years.
Listen to me.
It's gonna become 20 years.
They are it should have happened 10 years ago. They are tied to the club. They get benefits from the club. They get perks from the club. They will have to cut off that in order to do it. And that's what I'm saying. They won't do it. The only people that will are the non-content creators who could turn. So the people like in the chat here, they're the ones. And in the chats of all the other shows, they could turn. But the creators themselves, they're not going to join the movement. They won't do it. They've got too much to lose.
Oh, I mean,
they've got too much to lose.
I've noticed little patterns.
Would you cut off the hand that feeds you? No.
Stell, it reaches a point where it becomes satire. If I swear to God, if I continue listening to the Fighting Cock and you haven't won fuck all in 20 years and you continue this process of sacking coaches and then saying that they're the greatest thing and sacking them again, saying that they're the greatest things. And I listen to them and I listen to them being positive. I just think to myself, really? What's the point of making this podcast then? Podcast we're supposed to be the point of the podcast is where we can sit down, we have a long discussion about things and we're honest and it's interesting to listen to. But if it's the same regurgitated, close to being propaganda pretty much, like Jesus Christ, like one of the guys in the podcast said he thinks Archie Gray is better than Ben White. What the fuck? Like, how do you, like, I'm not saying because I'm an Arsenal fan, but how do you come up with this type of opinion? Like, I swear to God, still, I honestly think they're paid actors. I'm being serious. They're just there to make comedy. I don't understand it. So I'm telling you, things are changing. I'm seeing it on the little channels. I'm seeing it from the guests on the Happy Clapper channels. I'm seeing this frustration, and as it builds, you cannot defend it anymore. Still, there's no explanation. Before, as you said, it was they sacked Poch so they can hire a winner in Conte and Mourinho. Okay, now we go back to playing good football. Okay, we sacked that guy again. So now what? There's no Joker card anymore. Still, there's no escape. So that's the final thing. That on this, let's move on to.
I'm not ever going to buy into the fact that those channels will change. I will never buy into it because let me tell you something, Stefan. Their excuse for not going to the protest was because I was there. That was their excuse. So I said, so I have that much power and that much influence over your life that where I go determines where you go. I'm like Barack Obama, man. I'm like, the King of England. I didn't realize I have that kind of influence. It's bullshit, right? Be honest and say it as it is. You won't go because you're scared of what people will think of you. You're scared of actually taking action. You're scared of losing viewers, audience members, subscribers, perks from the club, your links with that channel, your links with media, big platforms. That's what it is. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is in the pudding. Okay. I won't go to the protests. Are you going to turn up? I offered that. I offered that. STEFAN offered that. I said, I won't turn up. Do you think they turned up? Nope.
No, of course they didn't.
There was one protest I was even told not to turn up to because I was endangered. And one of the guys I go to, who knows a lot of people, said to me, "Still, don't go to this one." I said, "All right." I didn't go. The protest
The thing,
it collapsed.
No, the thing I remember from a third person, kind of like a spectator view of the protest, is I remember on the Spurs Twitter sphere, a lot of them were posting kind of videos of the protesters mocking them, which really shocked me. Because if you look at Arsenal, Man United, even Liverpool, they don't like, if you do a poll about their ownership, there's not going to be a very high approval rating for the Liverpool ownership, especially over the last 2 to 3 years. But with the Spurs one, whenever we can just do Spurs. With the Spurs one, it's this notion, and that is the biggest joker that he has still, was the fact that before he came in, the 90s were a shit show, where you almost got relegated, where you almost went bankrupt. And so that created this perspective of things could be worse, guys. You know what I mean? And so that's what they always kind of, whenever you have a bad season or you haven't won a trophy in 15 or whatever years, or you're buying Timo Werners or stuff like that, they always say, yeah, but in the 90s we had fucking Tim Doherty, or I don't know, some shit player from Ireland or something like that. It could be worse. And that has created this mediocrity culture within your fan base and has saved, I would say, because if Levy, I think, came after the 80s STEL, where you were successful, where you won a UEFA Cup, where you won 2 FA Cups.
Levy came.
I honestly think there will be protests now. I really do, STEL. I really do.
Our fan base has changed. He's completely brainwashed the entire fan base. Everything has changed at the club in terms of mentality, from top, through admin, through socials, into the fan base. The mentality is completely different. Like I said to you, STEFAN, as long as we finish between 6th place and top 4, the fan base will always accept it. They will always tolerate it. We've had plenty of chances, opportunities to turn and take action against the ownership. We've had plenty of opportunities. It's never been taken. We've never, ever taken it because we're easily pleased. And the one time the shit really hit the fan, what did he do? Nuno and then Conte. What did he do?
Yeah, but he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that anymore. He doesn't have that save, because those type of coaches, he had never hired big-time marquee coaches before Conte and Mourinho with the big money and stuff. Those coaches left, and every single big money coach or whatever, or a marquee name, is going to listen to those interviews. He's going to listen to Mourinho saying, I wanted Skriniar and he gave me Joe fucking Roden.
STEFAN, unless they turn up physically to a protest, okay? Actions speak louder than words. Unless they physically turn up, I don't believe anything. The Spurs Supporters Trust, they tried to arrange a protest on tickets. How did that work? Right? That's the Supporters Trust. People actually had to go.
That was the worst thing.
People actually had to go at the trust. And then what they do is, just like they tried to discredit people like me, they tried to discredit that protest, saying, oh, you're not going to flip cars on the high street. You're not going to set off flares and stuff, are you? What are you talking about? Why are you making it sound like we're hooligans? Like we're vigilantes? Like we're some kind of lunatic assignment that's going to smash up the high street? They create that image. They create that brand. And they're like, you see, that's what they're like. You know, they are like that.
No, still, for the first time before, I thought you were extreme about
A protest isn't supposed to be some quiet little, we want Levy out.
I agree.
It's got to be loud. It's got to be passionate. It's got to shake up the club. No, what do people think a protest is? A day out where you go and eat chocolate and ice cream.
Who was it? Still, was it Man United fans? Was it last season? They didn't like the kit. 15,000 people showed up to protest about the fucking kit.
Different type of fan base, Stefan. They demand
Like-
success. They demand success, Stefan. They demand the best. It's a different type of fan base. Liverpool fans are like that. Arsenal fans are like that. Spurs fans were like that. I was at the protest when I was a kid. Stefan, when I was a kid, I was 12, 13 years old. I didn't even know why I was there. I can't remember how I was there. And there was a massive protest because Terry Venables, the manager, who part-owned the club, got into a financial argument with the main owner, I think, Sir Alan Sugar. And it was most fans backed Terry Venables, although Alan Sugar was right. Venables was cooking the books. And I was there with a placard. We want tea with no sugar. Tea for Terry Venables' cup of tea. We want tea with no sugar. Right? I'm holding it. There was thousands and thousands of Spurs fans. It was full-on protest. And you know what? It shook the club up. And eventually Venables got forced out. Sugar took over. But fans never really backed Sugar because he never did what was needed to make the club successful. Okay. He stabilized us financially because we were going to go bankrupt if it wasn't for him. So he saved the club. But in the end, he was forced to sell because I can't do this no more, man. These fans aren't happy. The fans never, ever, ever stopped, demanding it. Now, we're not that fan base, Stefan. I don't know what's happened the last 24 years. As a fan base, we're very different, Stefan. Whereas United fans, Liverpool fans, Arsenal fans, but your fans have stayed the same. We haven't. We've completely changed.
But still, our fans in recent history have seen success. 20 years. The league that's still I remember
and you still protested. You still had 10,000 fans at the Emirates 4 years ago, and you were winning FA Cups.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but
so because you demand the best. Whereas at Tottenham, if we win a Carabao Cup next year, we can win nothing for 15 years, and we're happy, man. That's fine. We want a Carabao Cup again. The standards at Spurs are so low compared to what the other big six clubs are. Compared to the big six, our standards are low.
Let's move on to that. Much happier talking about Arsenal. But if you look at your recruitment policy and the way you're recruiting, the amount of money that you're spending on players under the age of 21, I'm starting to really worry still. You're putting a lot of pressure on young players that everybody's hyping up.
You're worried. I have to hear lies in January and a completely different story in the summer. And then this January coming up, I'm going to hear a new set of lies. And then the following summer, it'll be a completely different story as what direction we're going in. I go through this every year, Stefan. Every year I go through this. When I WhatsApped you 2 weeks ago and you laughed at me when I said, Stefan, I'm going to write off this season. You're like, no. I'm like, Stefan, I'm telling you, I'm going to write off this season. I'm so bewildered why we've signed Timo. Archie Gray, yeah, give him 2-3 years. But what about now? Because Aston Villa are focusing on now. Man United are focusing on now. What are we doing? Unless we make 3 top signings.
Let's talk about these clubs because I think Spurs fans like you are hyping up other clubs to make.
All right, we'll change other clubs.
Let's go.
2 super chats. user, thank you. He says, really not looking forward to next season. Don't even know what our club are doing. Not buying into the youth program. 3+ years, just another Levy move. I agree. Stefan, you do not know or understand our fan base. I've tried to tell him. All right. Big up to you, user.
Okay, so who should we talk about from the resurgent clubs, supposedly?
I want to talk about. I think Man United's a good conversation to be had because yes, they're paying silly prices, but Man United always plays silly prices. And do you know what, Stefan? No matter what you think, no matter what anyone thinks, they've won 2 trophies in 2 seasons. Okay. And that is the name of the game, isn't it, though? But that is the name of the game, to win trophies. And they are winning them. If Spurs did what Man United did over the last 2 years, that would be our best season since the 80s. The best 2 years since 1980s. So for us, that is massive.
That's unfair because you won the FA Cup and the League Cup in the 90s, didn't you?
Okay.
The same thing.
It's okay, but 91, 99. All right, okay, fair enough. I'll meet you halfway. It would be our best ever period since the 90s. which was 24 years ago.
Stel, I can smell shit, and it really stinks. Let me tell you. I think Man United are in a very similar position to when Arsenal won the FA Cup, which is we had a crap team, and winning of the FA Cup kind of glossed over the really big turd that was in the club. That was the culture, the players, just everything. The club needed, as Ragnick said 3 years ago, it needed open heart surgery. Arsenal needed that, but what they did because of the FA Cup was they said, "Oh, we're not that far away from top 4. We just need to sign some more experienced players like Willian and fucking horrendous, buys like that, and then maybe we can get there." So it delayed a process. You're telling me, yeah, okay, they're signing players. Everybody's raving about that Man United are different now. No, they're not. They're the same fucking club, which is they overpay for players. Lenny Yoro, they're paying him compared to Calafiori, just a comparison. They almost paid, I think, over 20 million more for Lenny Yoro, who was on the last year of his deal, which Real Madrid only wanted to pay 25 to 30 million. And on top of that, they're paying him a wage that is double what Calafiori is being paid. So how are they did this with Anthony Martial, they did this with Paul Pogba when they signed him. And it's the same thing. Man United fans, if he plays for Man United, he's always generational. Kobe Mainoo was generational. Lenny Yoro was generational. Okay, so let's move on from him. Let's look at just the recruitment structure that they keep hyping up about. The recruitment structure of Man United, bar Lenny Yoro, is literally you have to be Dutch. That is what you have to be, and we will sign you. You have to be Dutch, and you have to have played for Ajax or played in the Dutch league. Joshua Zirkzee, Dutch. De Ligt, Dutch. Who else are they linked to now? Yes. So it's the same. And then if you look at the players that they're linked to, they're not at all impressive. Ugarte, they're basically signing a younger version of Casemiro style. Great off the ball and defensively, horrendous on the ball. So he doesn't upgrade their midfield whatsoever. PSG, just to give you in my opinion, PSG signed him for big money last season and are now putting him on the chopping block. So that should tell you what PSG think of this player. And the final thing is, and the one where Man United fans should be the most worried about, and why they haven't changed, is all of these transfers and players that they're linked with, bar De Ligt, guess who the agent is? Jorge Mendes, who got the only reason why Joshua Zirkzee didn't go to Milan was because Jorge Mendes wanted a massive.
Zirkzee's a good player, by the way, because some people think he's good. Some people think
I like Zirkzee, but if you read he's talented. But if you read his stats and his goal scoring ratio, it's the same as Højlund was in Italy. The only thing that he's better than Højlund is he actually can assist. He develops the play much better. But the goal, Stel just left. But yeah, so for me, Man United is not something to be worried about. I don't think. Oh, here he is. Yeah, so for me, yeah, no worries. So for me, Stel, I don't think they've changed a lot. Are they better? Let's see. I mean, they're going to sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and who are they after? Mazraoui, a guy who played for Ajax and who Bayern Munich wanna sell. It's the same shit still. And the other thing is, people are hyping up about Ten Hag. This is a management that wanted to sack him for a month, that looked for a month for a coach that didn't. And then once they realized that, once they realized that there's not a better coach out there, they didn't even extend. People, this is the other mistake. They didn't even extend his deal. They just triggered a 2-year clause in his deal. So that shows that the board.
Do you not rate Ten Hag at all?
At the fact that he won trophies, great. But that type of football, he reminds me. He's like a poor man's Thomas Tuchel. He reminds me of that, where he's great.
When he said, "I can't play the football I want because of the players I've got," do you not think there's some truth in that?
Okay. You cannot play the football, but is the defending that bad? You can't defend better?
Well, he lost Martinez. and he lost what's his name? He lost the other centre back as well. He lost 2 centre backs, Varane, and he ended up with Maguire, and he ended up with who was the other guy next to him?
Lindelof.
It was a bit of a shit show at Man United with injuries.
Okay, stuff. Okay, I agree.
They're not the only club to have injuries. Spurs had injuries.
I agree with you.
Newcastle, Brighton, but
they
suffered as well. When we had injuries, we fell apart.
I agree with you, but they have spent so much. I would, if you ask me, if I'm the owner, I would sack him just because of his signing stuff. 100 million on fucking Anthony. That for me is a sackable offense.
It's funny though. If you watched Anthony in Holland, he was brilliant. He looked so good. I don't know what's happened.
If you watch Victor Janssen in Holland, he was brilliant also, wasn't he?
Not like Anthony. Anthony looked like a baller. Anthony looked like a baller.
Victor Janssen was like the top goal scorer in Europe, I remember.
So many people were talking about Anthony though. I remember.
Mason
Mount. Here's why it's worse. Surprised me.
Wait, here's why it's worse. You had Anthony, you were there as a coach, and you had Mohamed Kudus, and you chose to spend on Anthony. That shows me that your talent ID is dog shit. And that tells me that the reason, the fact that there was mismanagement, that he was given far too much power with transfers, okay. But you still have to take responsibility for those transfers. 60 million on Mason Mount, on a guy that has a one year left on his deal, and he plays him as like a number 8, where it's obvious Mason Mount is not gonna work out in that position. So he spent tons of money still. The only one that you can argue has come off slightly, not slightly, Lisandro Martinez, but he's been injured for almost half of his tenure at Man United. He's been injured more than half.
That's not Ten Hag's fault.
Yes, it is, because if you read about Ten Hag, it's his training methods. The same thing with Ange. If you read about Ange's training methods,
but
he trains them far too hard.
Yeah, but hold on. Not every Spurs player got injured under Ange.
No, I'm not saying. I'm just giving a comparison. But Ten Hag had so many injuries still, and if you read the reports from the Man United in the nose, they say that the players really felt that they were training far too hard.
All right, I'm going to come at it from a different angle. Okay, so I was on Saeed TV last season for a bit, and Saeed's a Man United fan, and there was a guy on there called Donny, who's a Chelsea fan, and they were just in.
Oh yeah, Don. Yeah, I know Don. Yeah,
right. He wanted Poch out, Saeed wanted Ten Hag out, and I sat and I said, I'm going to disagree with you both. Your two clubs are the most toxic in the league. It's an absolute shit show at the top of your club, and it all trickles down. I know this because I'm at a club like that. The difference is we accept it. Now, I said to the Chelsea guy, you've been spoilt for 20 years. Open blank checkbook, buy what you want, do what you want, buy trophies, buy success. You've been spoiled. Now that owner's gone, and you've got this crackerjack guy who spends £100 million on random players that haven't proven anything, and you expect a manager to fix it. It doesn't work like that, man. This isn't Abramovich. It's a lunatic asylum at Chelsea. And Poch is working in a ridiculous environment.
He did amazing.
And I said to Saeed, the same applies to Man United. You guys hate the Glazers. Like, it's not just Stelios, Levy out, Brian Daigle, Levy out, whoever else, Levy out. The whole Man United fan base, Glazers out, right? It's a mass movement there. What a horrible club to manage. So Ten Hag and Poch, in my view,
wait, still. How is Man United a horrible club to manage? They blame every fucking thing on the Glazers. It's never the coach. It's never the coach.
You've missed my point. When there is trouble at the top, it all feeds down, Stefan, right? If you're in a family and the mum and dad are having a divorce or they're arguing every day, the kids are going to feel it. The granny's going to feel it. The neighbors are going to feel it. It trickles down. They're not clubs that are the right environment to work in. When Poch was doing well at Spurs, the environment was amazing because we'd just gone from Redknapp. We've taken the next step. We've made really good signings under Paul Mitchell. We were a new stadium was being built. Everything felt great. The environment was good. And I said to them both, you're underrating these two managers. I don't think Poch is Arsene Wenger or Ancelotti. No, but he's good enough. He can do something at Chelsea. And as for Ten Hag, I watched him in the Champions League. I saw how they destroyed Real Madrid, how they destroyed Juve. And they were 10 seconds away from being in the Champions League final against Liverpool. 10 seconds away. I think they're good managers. I think you as the fans, you need to calm it down. Anyway, season ended.
Yes.
Poch finished sixth. When I said to Donny, so what's the minimum you expect? He goes 6. I said, wait till the end of the season. He ain't getting 6. He got it wrong. Poch got 6th. And he got to a cup final. Ten Hag won the FA Cup. For me, they're managers that did well in a difficult environment. And I think Chelsea, I don't know. I think that's still a mess. But Man United, I think with Ineos, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, potentially a new stadium, maybe being built in the future, and possibly a plan, Stefan, whether the plan's good or not, but possibly a plan. I sense from Man United fans, there's a vibe that we might have we might be back. And you know what? I reckon Ten Hag thrives in that environment. No. So I look at it from a different angle to you here. I think Ten Hag might thrive this next season.
He's got zero. Look, when I look at a manager at a big club,
his Ajax team was amazing, man, in Champions.
Yeah, it was amazing, but he also screwed that up because he fucking lost the Champions League to Spurs in the last 15 minutes.
Dude, it was a last minute goal happens in all matches.
He did it. He lost. Okay, but he still the same thing happened against Coventry in the semi-final. Don't forget that. They were seconds away. Oh, sorry, penalties away from losing to and Coventry should have won it.
So hold on. When he loses in the last minute, he fucked it up. When he wins in the last minute, you also have a go at him. You can't have it both ways.
It's not.
They beat Coventry in the last minute.
I completely disagree with you when comparing Chelsea and Man United. Chelsea, I agree with you. Poch had to deal with the fact that he was just simply a coach, and then they were just, buying him 10-year-olds that he had to manage, and selling experienced players like Aspilicueta.
Man United, the fans.
But wait, Man United, I disagree, and I'll tell you why. What the Glazers did was, we're selling the club. We're still gonna give you money, but we don't give a shit. You're the one that's gonna make the decisions, Eric. So what does Eric Ten Hag do? He buys Anthony for 100 million. He buys Mason Mount for 60 million. Mason Mount is injured the whole season. He buys Amrabat. He takes him on loan, doesn't play him until like April, May-ish, okay? Buys all these players. Has a spat with Sancho. Don't get me wrong. He's right on Sancho. Sancho's a dickhead. Okay. Has a spat with him. Doesn't get along with Varane. Doesn't get along with Casemiro. Doesn't get along with any of the veteran players, if you read the reports. Doesn't get along with those players. Tries to sell Harry Maguire and Scott McTominay during the window, the summer transfer. Literally hints at a press conference about McTominay that he should leave. Doesn't play him at the start of the season. Then he becomes his top goal scorer at the end of the season, and he plays him pretty much every game. So he has zero authority. In terms of just grasp of the club, he's in over his head, as you say. This happens. They lose over 20 games for the first time, I think it was 50 years in terms of the competitions. Oh, I forgot his biggest fuck up. He has zero class also. He offers David De Gea a new contract, okay, at the end of last season. David De Gea screws up the FA Cup final, and then he takes that contract away. And then proceeds to buy Onana for 45 million pounds, who literally is a better footballing goalkeeper than a goalkeeper with his actual hands, okay, handling-wise.
But Onana's won an FA Cup with Man United.
Okay, he's won an FA Cup, yes. Okay. But I'm telling you, this is not sustainable. The football is terrible. The football is horrendous.
Yeah, but don't you think if they start bringing in players that Ten Hag wants, and if there's a plan in place, the
Who does he
will
want,
improve.
Stel? Who does he want? What is his recruitment profile?
I don't know what
You
any
have to be
manager
Dutch.
wants anymore.
You have to be Dutch. Great. You have to be Dutch, and you have to.
Okay, but if that works for him, what does it matter?
It doesn't, because it doesn't.
We don't know yet. We don't know. Well, hold on. He's won 2 trophies in 2 years.
Okay, he's won. Okay, the League Cup, which he won, he had the world's easiest run ever. Every single game was a home game, and he pretty much played League One and Championship teams the whole way up until the final. Literally, go look at the run. So okay, he still won it. You can only be what's in. Okay, FA Cup, I'll give him credit. He played. They deserve the FA Cup. But I'm telling you, as an Arsenal fan, I have seen this. The club is rotten. They still have a massive culture issue. It's not gonna get fixed though. They should have sacked him even after he won the FA Cup. They should have sacked him.
They can't sack him because he's been successful. He's won 2 trophies, man. That's such a difficult. I think that FA Cup final saved his job. Personally, I think it saved his job because were they going to finish 8th? Were they 8th or 7th?
They're 8th.
Right. The FA Cup. Not only did it see that FA Cup, it couldn't have been.
It saved them. It saved them.
One, it's a trophy. 2, against Man City, right? You lost in the final to last year, your arch rivals, and 3, it keeps them in Europe. It was literally 1, 2, 3. It was the perfect final for him.
No,
they look. I think the new ownership model looks at him and says, "Do you know what? Let's see what you do with us."
No,
here.
they don't. Still, that's the biggest lie.
Well, they would do because they would have sacked him, Stefan. They would have sacked him.
No. That's my point. For 1 month, they kept silent because they wanted to sack him. They kept looking for coaches. They did interviews with coaches.
Yeah, but now he's won the FA Cup. They're probably thinking, do you know what? Well done. Let's give you a year with us and see what happens. Maybe they're doing that.
But that's not a short. That's like going for a night out after you've broken up with your girlfriend, trying it out with all the girls there, not being successful, and then calling up your ex-girlfriend after the actual night finishes.
Yeah, but
that's exactly what they did.
How many managers did Man United speak to that we know about?
They spoke to, I forgot now. They spoke to Thomas Tuchel. They spoke to De Zerbi, from what I remember.
Did they actually speak? Was it the usual gossip on social media?
I know you're very skeptical on the actual journalists, but Stel, okay. My other argument will be if your point is true about they said let's give it. Why did they stay silent for a month and a half? Why didn't they say, you know what, you won the FA Cup, we're gonna give you a new deal, we're gonna back you?
I think they kept their cards close to their chest and they didn't want to rock.
No, Stel, they tried to sack him. They wanted to sack him.
I think if they sacked him,
there was no better option.
If they sacked him with a month of the season left, they risked sabotaging that FA Cup. They risk sabotaging.
No. I'm not saying sack him before the FA Cup final. No, I'm saying after he won the FA Cup final, if your theory is true, where they said, let's give him 1 more year. Why didn't they, I'm going to use Arsenal as an example. When Arsenal were going through the real shit, when we were really low, Kroenke came out with a statement pretty much saying, fuck you to the fans, including me, who wanted Arteta out. He said, we're behind our coach. We believe in him, and that's it. Man United, as a famous term, the silence is deafening. They went completely silent for a month and a half. Even Ten Hag in interviews on Dutch TV said he had no idea for a month after he won the FA Cup whether he was continuing as the Man United coach. So why if you're telling me that they believe in him and want to give him 1 more year, why would you do that? Won't you want to create an atmosphere of stability at the club? And they didn't.
The proof is going to be next season. We will see next season what happens.
And you know what's the final thing on Man United? He's talking a big game now. Mr. fucking big bollocks in the press. Nobody has had more influence on the Premier League in the last 2 years, apart from Pep, than me. Okay, Mr. Big Shot. Okay, let's see. Next season, you've spent another 200 million probably. Okay, I don't want to hear any excuses about injuries, about any of this stuff. Okay, I want you to put the money where your mouth is and win, because that's what they put. That's what they give shit to Arteta about. And win something again. You have to get close to Arsenal and to Man City and to get top 4. If he doesn't get top, I'm telling you right now, Stel, the board has zero loyalty to him. They cannot wait to get rid of him.
You know what I could see Man United doing? Maybe just missing out on top 4, but he wins.
They're going to sack him still. They're going to sack him.
Hear me out. But he wins the Europa Cup, so he gets another trophy, and he qualifies for Champions League through the back door.
Still, I can
see Man United winning the Europa Cup. You know that.
Okay, just my final point about his style of football. Still, last season, the only team in the whole year that had conceded more shots than them was fucking Sheffield United. Still, this is Manchester United.
Yeah, defensively they were a mess. But like I said to you, they lost for round.
No, they had a preseason game 4 days ago against Rosenborg. Rosenborg had 22 shots. Still, it's the same.
Preseason, I don't judge preseason, man. I look at Spurs now, and I know the team I'm watching is not going to be the starting 11. These kids aren't going to be in the starting 11. It'll be Bentancur, it'll be Pape Sarr, it'll be Maddison, it'll be Werner and Johnson and Van de Ven and Romero, Dogi. Okay. I know what I'm seeing now will be completely different. That's what I'm saying. Let's judge it in the season. Let's judge it in the season.
Right.
What about Arsenal? What about Arsenal, man? Are you ready for next season? Have you made the signings you need? Are you going to catch Man City without bringing in some attacking flair, a goal scorer?
I think we do need attacking flair, but I think the thing that we lacked last season was just pure depth from our fringe/bench players, and I think that's what Arteta is addressing. I think with
Kai Havertz going to score all those goals again.
I think if I honestly do believe that if Kai Havertz had been switched to center forward from the start of the season, he would have scored 20 goals or more.
No, because last season 20 goals.
Yeah, because last season still he scored 14, and he started playing number 9 after the New Year, if I'm not mistaken, December-ish. So that's 3 months of football stuff. I know you don't rate him, but he was arguably one of Arsenal's best players in the last 3 months. And I think there was a stat from the start of the new year, 2024, the only 2 players that had more goals and assists than him were Erling Haaland and Cole Palmer. And if you looked at just not penalties, he had more goals and assists than Cole Palmer. So I like Kai Havertz. I just think our defensive depth now is just ridiculous. If we sign Marino, I mean, good luck.
You had the best defense in the league, and you made it better. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, like Calafiori is an upgrade on the left backs that we have, because what Calafiori has is what Tomiyasu has defensively and what Zinchenko has going forward. He's basically a combination.
Okay, but look, we know your defense is good, right? We know your defense is good, but do you think you're lacking in midfield or across the front three, Stefan? Like, surely you're not confident you'll win the league if the transfer window ends tomorrow. If the window ends tomorrow, are you confident you'll beat Man City?
I'm confident because for attacking wise, we scored 91 goals. We were the top goal scorers of the league up until I think the last 2-3 weeks of the season, until City just scored a little bit more than us. With Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli having poor seasons. So we potentially could be way better.
But also, you had a very good season without injuries to key players like Saliba and Gabriel. Wait, hold on. Saliba, Gabriel, and Declan Rice, who I thought were your 3 most important players last year, along with Odegaard. I think they are.
We didn't have our best midfielder the whole year.
Who?
Partey.
Bro, come on. Declan Rice is better.
No, he's not. Not in the number 6. In the number 6 position.
Declan Rice was one of the players of the season last year, Stefan.
I love Declan Rice. But as a number 6, Thomas Partey is better,
Okay,
and that's why
Partey's going to be injured again, right? He's
I
like
agree.
that,
But still, I'm telling you right now, if we can keep Partey and Rice fit, because I'm reading
right. If you lose
Zubimendi,
Saliba for 3-4 months, do you think you're going to feel it?
with Califury, I don't think so, because we can play Timber there, we can play Ben White there.
Saliba though, man, he's proven.
No, Saliba, of course, you
proven.
cannot replace. But this argument is also quite hypothetical. If Man City lose Rodri, still they're fucked, aren't they?
Yeah. But hold on, I'm talking about Arsenal, because last season you didn't have any key. You didn't have any key injuries.
I agree.
You hardly had any key injuries.
No, but I agree. And people in the chat, if I am wrong about Partey, why, when Partey came back, did Arteta play Partey at the 6 and Rice as a number 8 then? If Rice is a better number 6 than Partey, why did Partey play number 6? Why did he accommodate Partey and not accommodate Rice? So, okay, but I'm telling you, Partey is one of the most underrated players in the Premier League because of the fact that he's injured. If Partey still saw, because I remember still the season before that, when Arsenal again almost still remembers how good Partey was. Partey was arguably our best player.
I'm not saying Partey isn't good. I just think you did absolutely fine without him. I don't think he's a key player. I don't think he's key to Arsenal. Now, when you signed Declan Rice, I thought, do you know what? This is a massive signing, because if Partey gets injured, they've got some serious replacement to come off the bench. And Declan Rice ended up starting for you.
No, stop. I love Declan Rice. I thought Declan Rice was sensational.
And the hype on Jesus is ridiculous. This guy has never hit the numbers, man. Even at City,
he's never. Still,
he's great at pressing. He's great at causing havoc. But as a finisher, there's too much hype on Jesus, I feel.
No, still. Here's the thing. He's been injured a lot, and if you remember the 4 months before the World Cup and our resurgence, that those amazing 4 months that we had the season before, Jesus, in my opinion, was the best player in the Premier League and our most important player in that period. And I saw what he could actually do. If we could have a Jesus Stel, who, if you look at his stats, because you say his stats don't match, still, if you look at his stats per minute, he averages a goal and assist almost per, I think it was like 92 minutes or something, almost a goal and an assist per game. So his stats do match. It's just the fact that he's always injured. And when
he plays as the number 9, right?
No, I disagree. He plays he's not a typical number 9. He plays everywhere. So I love
the Arsenal fans I speak to always say to me, stop playing Jesus wide, play him down the middle.
I agree. Yeah.
Right. So if you're going to play him down the middle, he's your number 9. He doesn't get the goals. The number 9's job is to be the goal scorer. He doesn't get the goals.
I think he does, Stel, and every time
he doesn't. You just said to me, a goal or assist every 92 minutes. So,
but he gets injured every 2. What happens with him is, since the World Cup he starts, he scores 2 or 3 games in a row, then he gets injured for a month, and then the whole momentum goes away. And he's the type of player I've noticed that takes a long time to get back from injury. He's not like a Tomiyasu, for example, who's also injury prone. But whenever Tomiyasu comes back, he's really good. He's very solid, even when he just comes back. Jesus takes ages. Jesus takes at least 2-3 weeks to get into the groove of things. So for me, I think a number 8, a left back. I mean, still, I don't mean to be like a dickhead, but Jurrien Timber is a new signing, in my opinion.
No, I think he's a very good player for you.
Jurrien Timber
we said this yesterday on our show.
Yeah, so Jurrien Timber is like a new signing for Arsenal. So add him to that.
Yeah, but again, I'm not bothered about your defense. I'm looking at your midfield and your attack.
Okay.
Because last season you narrowly lost to Bayern Munich. You didn't score enough goals against them. You lost to Aston Villa when you dominated the game. You didn't score goals.
I disagree with this.
You were all over Aston Villa away. You didn't take your chances.
I disagree with this. And I can give you another hypothetical.
And you didn't beat Newcastle away. You didn't score goals.
Okay, Bayern Munich, we didn't score. But why did we concede? The left back. Kivior make okay. So yeah, why did we actually concede in those games? The left back Kivior makes a huge mistake, 1-1. Okay, sorry. So Stel, if you remember those games,
let's say you don't concede, fine, but you need to score goals to win games, right? The team that scores the most wins. Yes, you can have a brilliant defense and win 1-0, 1-0, George Graham style. But for me, there's games where you were the better team, hands down, and you didn't score the goals to win.
they were very few.
Yeah, but I'm talking to someone who's not an Arsenal fan, and I'm watching you lot. If you sign, look, I think Calafiori is a top player. Hold on, I think Calafiori is a top player. I put it on social media. I'm going to cry that Arsenal signing this guy. But what would scare me as a Spurs fan is if you sign a proven goal scorer, my money is on you to win the league. I think that's the difference.
Still,
because Harry Kane, I know you don't rate him, whatever.
Oh, please don't bring him, please.
But Harry Kane, he saved us so many times when it came to top 4 races or North London derby. He saved us a lot. Now we've lost that. We're 5th. Now we've lost that. We crash out the cups in round 1. Okay, he never got us over the line. But when you've got someone like that you can depend on for those goals, it changes the game, man. And I think if you sign a proven goal scorer, I think the league title's yours, Stefan.
Stel, I agree with you.
That's my view.
The issue is no, I agree. But the issue is, and I always argue this when I go on Arsenal streams, who is a proven goal scorer that is worth that money? Not one player on the market.
Right.
Nobody.
So for me,
the only one is Watkins that I would buy, but he's not available.
Right. So for me, Stefan, you're probably going to have to take You're going to have to take a bit of a risk, and the fee might not be super high because of it. So
okay,
there are players.
Tell me one player.
Well,
don't say Arsenal, please.
No. I wasn't going to say that because he's going to be 100 million. So Victor Gyökeres, because he's been linked to Spurs.
He's had one good season.
Hold on. But Spurs are linked to everyone. I don't think it's a yes or a no. I don't know, Stefan, but I'm saying there's a potential. That's a risk maybe worth taking, right? Another one would be, again, I don't think you're a fan of his, Jimenez. Dutch league, give a shit. But you know what? He might be worth a punt. So I think whatever play you bring in, it's going to be a risk. Same with Spurs. We need a number 9. The only one who isn't a risk, but I don't know if you like him, but he's a proven goal scorer, is Ivan Toney.
Stel, I love Ivan Toney. He's just a dickhead. That's the issue.
Yeah, but if he gets you the goals, what do you care?
By the fact that he's an asshole and he doesn't fit within our culture. That's why. That's still he's aren't you worried? Like, I think it's a massive. It's kind of like if I can compare it, when there's an NBA or an NFL draft and there's a super talented player, everybody expects him to be picked in the first 5 picks because he's super talented. But what happens is if he's not picked in those, people start to think, okay, the other teams must have done their due diligence and not like something about him off the field. Maybe he has some personal issues. The fact that Brentford, on the last year of his deal, where he's probably around 60 to 50 million pounds, the fact that Brentford haven't had one bid from any club and supposedly they've had to cut the price just so they can sell him, that's really concerning to me. And also just really conclusive as to how, I mean, from what I read from Arsenal sources, Arteta had an interview with him where Arteta met him and spoke to him, supposedly, and he did terribly. And ever since then, Arsenal were really interested, and nobody wants to touch him. Even Man United, who are infamous for taking assholes continuously over the years.
But then, okay, so if there's no striker available, then you need to get a goal-scoring wide player because
winger,
or Martinelli needs to step up next season. One of the two.
I honestly think Martinelli, and this
last
is
year
what
he didn't have a good season.
If you read the final thing, so we can talk about our favorite club, Chelsea. The final thing is, I'll say what Arsenal identified. If you read you don't rate them. The in the know journalists around Arsenal, they said that they said that the biggest weakness they identified and was the left-hand side. So basically, the connection between the left winger, the left back, and the left 8 midfielder. And that's why Arsenal are literally targeting Calafiori, Marino, who's left-footed and who will play left 8. And I really think that will help Martinelli progress, like it did when Zinchenko came into the team and he played with Xhaka on that side. Martinelli scored 15 goals.
Can I ask you one more question about Arsenal, actually?
Tell me, Stel.
So last season, you started slow, and they said it's controlled football. It's controlled, and then come into the season, you kind of exploded, right? Are you going to do the same next year? Is it going to be the same tactic, or do you think clubs will kind of clock onto it?
No, because Arteta, the thing I love about him is he's relentless. He always wants to improve. He always wants to adapt. He changes things. And next year, I'm sure there will be some sort of, not a massive change within the system. I think Calafiori, if you look at his profile, what you and Ash identified in your scouting video, was the way he's able to progress the ball running with it, taking players out of the game and opening up space for others as a result, just dribbling past and running with the ball. We don't have a defender like that in our team. And I think Calafiori is going to add just another kind of feather to our bow, or whatever you want to call it. And I think Arteta will adapt more and will change it. I'm intrigued because I have no idea. Last season, he changed our style. He wasn't as chaotic, wasn't as fast-paced. And at first, it didn't look like it was working, but then everything clicked. So I'm intrigued if he's going to do something different now. I do think the left-hand side with those additions hopefully will be much better. So I do expect there some sort of change. But apart from that, still, we don't really need to change that much. We're so close. It's minor details. So I don't know. Well, let's see. I have no idea what's going to happen.
Okay, enough about Arsenal. Let's talk about Chelsea.
Let's leave it last for the best part of the show.
Do you even think
I can't wait for this
question. Manager? Do you think this manager? Do you know a lot of Leicester City fans I've spoken to?
Yeah,
he got them promoted. They're happy. They're not bothered that he's left. They're not bothered that the manager.
It's not. I watched because I was also intrigued. Because I'm weird, I found the Leicester fan channel.
They weren't properly happy with it.
It was very.
They won.
It was very like, how can the word is lukewarm? They were like, yeah, we're annoyed that he left, but it's not the end of the world. We don't really care that much. That's the vibe I got from Leicester. Yeah. And Wayne confirmed it. Wayne said it's exactly like Leicester fans. They never kind of warmed to him. Because of the fact that they thought, from what I read, they thought he was extremely stubborn. They almost choked. They had I think at one point, they were leading by 15 points, and they almost choked it at the end because he refused to actually change stuff. So let's see. I mean, in terms of just Chelsea are just a shit. I said this 2 years ago to Mari. He was like, Stefan, it's Chelsea and this and that. Yes, that was Roman Abramovich's Chelsea. This is baseball Todd Bowley's Chelsea. Okay, they're a complete shit show. They bought 2 goalkeepers last season. Still, guess what they're doing now? They're after another goalkeeper, and one of those goalkeepers that they paid 25 million for was the fucking third keeper at Brighton. The third keeper at Brighton, and you're expecting me to They do not know what they're doing. So yeah, Stel froze because he's shocked at how shit Chelsea are. So yeah, but anybody in the chat have any different opinions on Chelsea? Because I certainly don't. I just think they're terribly run. They're run exactly kind of what a skit would be for an American owner of a football club, where nobody knows what they're doing, where they're applying their principles from baseball and from those, which is what they're doing, which is they're basically in baseball. What they do is it's called talent accumulation. They sign super young players from from Central America, from Costa Rica, from the Dominican, and then they send them off. They loan them out to smaller baseball clubs so they can develop. And out of all of those players, maybe 2 or 3 become superstars. And that is the actual strategy that Chelsea are now adopting. What the owners are adopting at Chelsea, where they're signing toddlers from South America that are supposed to be really, really talented, that have no guarantee that they're going to succeed in the Prem. And in order to do that, they're screwing over their academy. I mean, I have no words. I honestly feel bad. Chalaba was their best defender at the end of last season. And now they've pretty much taken out his locker, told him that he can't come on the U.S. tour. But Benoit Badiashile and Axel Disaster are still in the squad. I have just no words for Chelsea. But you know what? God bless Todd Bowley. He has destroyed a club in the space of 3 years, and I absolutely love it. No club deserves this more than Chelsea. Oh, here he
Stefan,
is.
listen, I can hear you. I'm going to have to end the stream because my internet has completely crashed, and I've had to log in off my mobile phone. I'm so sorry, bro.
No worries, Tom. Thank you for the invite. It's a good show.
Everyone in the chat, thanks for watching tonight. Sorry, I'm having to end it a little bit early. This wasn't the plan, but I had internet issues before we came on. Which...
It's okay. I'm gonna end the show. Thanks to STEL's shit British internet. Let me tell you guys, after studying in the UK for 4 years, that is one thing I do not miss. How crap your broadband is, Jesus. So yeah, thank you guys for the views. We're gonna be back on probably in the next 2 weeks, just continuing just to see if there's any news. Thank you, Stel, and thanks everyone for the show. See you guys.
The first game we look for, Robbie. Tottenham away. When we got Tottenham away.